This is Last Oasis Season 6 Test in 2025, a game most people forgot and for good reason, but I didn't. Because underneath the busted systems, silence from the devs, toxic community, and horrible balancing, there's still something special here. Something different, something that could be so much greater than what it is in its current state. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the best parts I'd really like to highlight. My name is JasperJax, or Gravity in game, and this is by far the best failure I've ever played. For those unfamiliar, Last Oasis is a nomadic, physics-driven survival MMO. You build massive wooden walkers and roam a dying world that's constantly shifting to escape the sun. It features directional melee combat, grappling hooks, mobile bases, and open world PvP. That's the world we were dropped into, and when it works, it's one hell of a ride. Let's start by talking about the good. No other game comes close to how Last Oasis feels when it's actually working. The physics, gravity, momentum, progression, and PvP combat, and overall feel when swinging through a forest with nothing but your grapple, wingsuit, bonespike sword, and a dream will always be unmatched. There's nothing quite like yeeting your team straight off of the edge of a cliff into a chaotic walker fight, which essentially is a big game of bumper cars, except with some guns to add to the chaos, or racing to be one of the first teams to a meteor crash site, event tile, counter raid, or to third party a fight and play as the cleanup crew, taking all of the spoils of war. Progression actually feels good when it's not ruined by some half-baked patch. You don't shoot straight to endgame, but you're geared enough for your first few fights within an hour or two. It ramps up naturally until you hit Iron Tier. That's when things start to fall apart, and trust me, we'll get into that later. And the PvP? Still the most unique system I've ever played. This is my first directional melee combat game, and I loved it. It was genuinely skill based. It pushed you to your limits, testing your reaction time, decision making, spatial awareness, discipline, and grit. Compared to other survival games like Ark, Rust, DayZ, or Tarkov, where you essentially wait around until you line up a headshot, then just shoot your gun until they drop dead. Quite boring if you ask me, especially with how quickly cheaters take over those games. With PvP in mind, let's talk about offline raiding. In Rust, you can spend an entire day farming and building a massive base for your clan just for it to be offline raided once you get off for the night. That can't happen in Last Oasis unless you let it happen. We have mobile bases called Belangs and Sillers, which are full-on fortresses on legs. And when you're done for the night, you just walk them to the map edge and transfer them to the lobby. They sit there safe until you or a clanmate decide to pull them back out. That's huge. A lot of us aren't kids anymore. We've got jobs, families, responsibilities, and actual lives. This system lets us play on our own terms, not worrying about losing everything while we're away. Now, controversial topic, Trade Station Packer. Basically, trade stations are safe zones that last for 6 hours, but if you pack your walker inside and pay rent, it'll stay safe inside indefinitely. Yeah, it takes the risk out of storing your most valuable stuff, and I'll admit, it can be abused. But for players with limited time, it's a lifesaver. And then there's Walker Cap, which was added during Season 6 test. This changed everything in the best way. Instead of mindlessly steamrolling with 15 Ram Falcos, you actually had to think. You had to coordinate, plan loadouts, and decide what walkers were worth bringing in. It forced teamwork, forced strategy. It made us play like a unit and not just a Zerg. Now let's talk about where things went wrong, because for everything Last Oasis did right, it just couldn't get out of its own way. First, balance. Every patch felt like a swing in the dark. The devs would overbuff one thing, break another, and somehow always manage to ignore what really caused problems. You'd finally get a decent meta, something playable, and then boom, here comes an update that turns every fight into a ramfest with busted walker physics and no real counterplay. And that leads into a bigger issue, update delays. The devs had ambition, I'll give them that. But they'd wait weeks between updates because they were trying to add everything at once. Problem is, They didn't have the team to test any of it. So what we got were bloated, buggy, unbalanced patches that caused more problems than they solved. They overpromised and underdelivered every single time. Then there's the PvE, or really the lack of it. It felt like an afterthought. No depth, no real reward structure, no replayability. You kill a few things, gather some loot, farm for quality, do some meaningless and oftentimes broken quests, and then that's it. Nothing meaningful to do unless you're in a clan playing PvP, and even then, half the systems were broken or easily abused. Speaking of abuse, let's talk about the trade station packer. In theory, it was a lifeline, a way to safely store your best walkers when you need to quickly get off or to conveniently continue playing during your next session. In practice, it became a vault system. Whole clans would pack every valuable walker in trade, like Tuskers and Pandas, and never risk them again. There was zero reason to fight or defend when you could just stash your wealth. It killed the entire point of open world risk. Worse than that, people figured out how to ram walkers straight out of trade. Still protected within trade station for another 5 hours? Not if the Flotillans or Chinese have something to say about it. They could simply abuse certain things to allow them to push your not so safe walker directly out of the trade station. It was just clownish, and the devs didn't address it for weeks. When they did, they provided a half-assed patch that didn't actually fix the problem. I can still push you out of trade today if I so desired. Now let's talk communication. At first, they talked a big game, roadmaps, dev blogs, community interaction, but over time, silence. Long gaps, vague promises, updates with no warning or worse, ones that were teased and never came. They told us things were in development that clearly weren't. They made promises and they broke them. Eventually, the community stopped trusting them. People who stuck around wanted to believe the game would turn around. We gave feedback, we made content, we stuck through test branches and broken builds. But we were treated like an inconvenience, and slowly, everyone just gave up. Because you could only fight for a game so long when the devs don't care half as much as you. I don't know if it was mismanagement, burnout, or just greed, but they had something here and they completely blew it. So, after everything I've said, why the hell do I still play Last Oasis? Simple. Because no other game does what this one does. The grappling and wingsuiting system, still unmatched. Flying through a forest at full speed, barely dodging trees, clinging to walker wings with a hair of stamina left, it's adrenaline in a game. You feel every movement, every swing, every fall. That system alone blows most games out of the sand. And then there's the walker system. Your base isn't some bunker on a hill. It's a machine. It moves, it climbs, it carries your gear, your crew, your whole story. You build it, you name it, you risk it. And yeah, it can get stuck on a tree, but it's yours. Use them for war, farming, scouting, or simply throw it on an event tile that burns in 20 minutes because there are players still struggling to get out and you want that sweet PvP content. The nomadic lifestyle is what ties it all together. No hiding in a mega base for months like Ark. No building a monument to flex on smaller tribes. You have to move. You have to adapt, or else the sun will burn you alive. It keeps the map dynamic, it keeps clans humble, it keeps the game breathing, even when the player count is dwindling. You could catch that big Zerg you hate with their pants down on moving day. Everything is scattered, chaotic, unorganized, and rushed. Perfect mix to rush in and take whatever you want and get out of there before they can react. And that's what keeps me here. Open world PvP that actually feels risky. Combat that rewards discipline over who shot first. And most importantly, a safe lobby system that lets me walk away when life gets busy. I can log off, spend time with loved ones, take care of real shit, and know that when I come back, my walker's still there. My progress matters. That's rare in survival games, and honestly, it's what makes Last Oasis playable for adults. So yeah, Last Oasis is a mess. It's broken, it's neglected, it's quiet. But it's also one of the most original survival games ever made. And for the ones who stuck around, it still means something. The devs may have walked away, but we didn't. We remember what it was, what it could have been. And we're still here, even if just to build one more walker, launch one more raid, and swing through one more canyon at midnight. So if you're watching this and thinking about coming back, do it. Not because it's thriving, not because it's fixed, not because it's populated, but because nothing else plays like this. And maybe, just maybe, if enough of us keep that fire alive, someone might finally notice it's still burning. I've been told official Season 6 is right around the corner, and I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching. I'm JasperJax, and this game's not dead to me.
Oh my
Whoa.
god.